Morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Fertility Women. How are you doing, Nick? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. There's not really been much happening fertility-wise for me, but actually it's been quite nice to have a bit of a break and a bit of a distraction away and just enjoy things without having the constant bad news and misery. So it's been good. I'm doing good. What about you?
How amazing is it, though? It's so funny. I don't know if it's because we've been in lockdown for like the last year and we've just been able to come out a little bit. I have absolutely loved this whole break from it all.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, I feel exactly the same. I don't know if maybe like when our very short summer is over and like the winter sets back in again, then I'll feel like totally ready to be doing fertility stuff again, trying to make a baby again. But right now I've just enjoyed the sunshine and having like positive distractions that come with not being in lockdown and sunshine. So I guess the pandemic has finally been a bit of like, it's given us some sort of light, isn't it? Because I guess we're appreciating all the stuff that we probably wouldn't normally have done. We'd still be like, oh God, like poor me.
Yeah, actually, it's sort of, and the weather helps, but just when you're sort of on a good, positive run, you sort of don't want to let that go, life-wise, and like put yourself back in that place because it's so difficult. Every time, like myself, I try and think this time I'm going to be really positive when I go into treatment and stuff. But then once you're in it, you've got no control. You just go crazy again. So it's quite nice to not have to have that for a while.
Yeah, you're like my brain twin right now. Totally feel that 100%. But it's just me and you today, and we've got some exciting stuff coming up with the Fertility Women and speakers that we've got coming on, which will probably filter through our Instagram channel. So anyone that's watching, I don't know if you know or not, unfortunately, all of my accounts were hacked the other week. So we have got a new Instagram account now, and it's the Fertility Women Official. So anyone who does follow our old account, I'll pop you a message today just with the new one because I'm not sure that everybody's aware. So just to make you all aware. But today we've got my friend Tara's coming on, and she's my Insta buddy. Like I've never real life met her, and she's one of those people, as like, when you just make these friends on Instagram and you just love them, you check in on their profile, like you can't wait to see their updates. And it just so happens to be that she's a fertility warrior too. And the funny thing is, we were connected before all of this anyway, so I didn't actually like
So you didn't meet through the fertility stories, you met like through something wow.
Just being like, I guess like a bit of a mummy poster, really, just sharing like what we do like with our family life and stuff. I mean, Tara loves cocktails and so do I, so I'm here for that friendship alone, aside that seems to like be also a common passion of ours. So I'm just really excited to get Tara on because we've had a bit of a crazy journey with secondary infertility, which is what I'm currently dealing with now, and so many of our viewers are too. Tara's recently had a failed round of IUI, which she like beautifully documented on her Instagram channel, which I'll add into the description at the end of the show, so you can go and check it out and show her some love and just probably find a whole bunch of support in her journey, because she's raw, open and honest, like how you should be on Instagram. And she gives a very real but also a very beautiful perspective of like the pain that comes with secondary infertility. So I'm actually going to bring her on because she's going to tell us all of this herself anyway. Let me just add her into the room, and then hopefully she'll just be able to join us straight away. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, all right, thank you. How are you?
Yes, good. You could probably hear what we were rambling on about then anyway, like in the studio. So just Tara, give us a bit of just a little bit of information about you, just because obviously anyone that's watching that doesn't know you, just tell us a little bit about that.
So I already have a daughter who will be 10 this year, so which is quite scary. I had her when I was 19, so I was young, and obviously would never change that in the slightest, but I had the most awful pregnancy, for labour, and it just kind of went wrong from the moment I fell pregnant. It just never planned out how I expected it to go. So I think from that moment, as soon as I was thinking about it this morning, as soon as I'd had her, I already knew I wanted to do it again, but differently. I didn't want to go through that. So I was already like, I think it was like literally day 2 of being home. I knew that I wanted another child, but I knew that it had to be different this time. I couldn't go through all of that again. And I guess it has been very different this time.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, but come from like a completely different reason to what I wanted or what I thought. I'd never heard of secondary infertility. I'd never even knew it was a thing. To be honest, I probably never even really thought that people struggled to have a baby. I just think you are brought up being told you have sex, you have a baby. Don't do it.
Look at that boy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And, yeah, and so for me, I was always thought, I remember I was 16 and I had to have surgery, and they said I had severe endometriosis, and they said you'll never have children unless you have them young. So I kind of grew up thinking, oh, I really want to be a mum. I feel like that was what I always wanted to be from a very young child. I knew that I wanted to be a mum. So it was always kind of, oh gosh, it's never going to happen. And then obviously I fell pregnant, was so happy. But yeah, knew I wanted to do it again and just haven't been able to. And yeah, I'd never heard of secondary infertility until kind of, I think it was end of 2019, beginning of 2020, when I realised that we'd been trying for 4 years and nothing was happening.
Wow.
Maybe it was a sign that something was wrong. And I think you go to the doctors and they're kind of like, yeah, you're fine, off you go. And that was how I felt for a very long time. And I didn't have periods for months and months on end. And they would say to me, well, how long's a piece of string? I'd say, what?
Bit too long.
Do you think they wasn't taking you seriously because you fell pregnant naturally once before? So they was like, eventually it's going to happen again. And they wasn't actually listening to, no, I've been trying for a really long time now. Yeah,
definitely. And yeah, I just think that, I don't know if they just don't have the resource to kind of help you or look into it, or whether it's just that the GPs aren't like equipped with it. This isn't their field. This isn't something they specialise in. So you're not ill. So therefore you're not a priority.
I find as well, and this is no disrespect to any male GPs that watch this, because geez, some of my consultants at the hospital I've worked with through my fertility journey have been absolutely incredible. But I just feel like maybe when I've been in to speak to the GP before and I've mentioned it to like a male GP, I don't think they really understand the small gap of a window that you have to get pregnant without any complications of a monthly cycle anyway. But why would you? You don't have a period. I don't expect you to. Yeah. So I always found that. And something else I really want to ask, and just you answer it as comfortably as you can. When I was going to the doctors because I couldn't fall pregnant naturally, well, I knew something wasn't right. I wasn't falling pregnant. You kind of feel like you have to push to get them to do something about it. But I didn't want to push to be told I couldn't have a baby naturally.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get there and then give me a magic wand to be like, here's your baby. Like, I need you to push me because actually I'm coming because something's not right. I've plucked up the courage to come here. I'm not going to beg you to tell me that I'm infertile. I didn't even bloody know what infertile was then. But I'm just going to beg them. I feel like I needed a bit more to be like, actually, something isn't right. This is what we need to do. I felt ashamed.
Yeah. How did you? The first time I think I went to the doctors like the first time about 3 years ago. About 3 years ago. And they were like, maybe you've got depression, because I was so emotional and I couldn't explain how I was feeling, or I think you kind of like, the pussyfoot around it, like being like, oh, this and this and this. And they were like, maybe you've got depression. And I just burst into tears and they were like, see? And I was like, no, I think I'm just trying to explain to you that something's wrong, but I don't know what.
And I need you to help me. Like, I don't need you to diagnose me with depression, because
And I had like a really young doctor as well.
Even if that was the case, even if you was having low mood, well, obviously, because I'm trying to have a baby, I've got something medically going on, and you're not listening to me.
What you're saying, 100%. What on earth? I know.
Just,
that's why you can't get pregnant, because you've got depression.
Yeah. And then I had like a really young doctor, and he was obviously very embarrassed about talking about this. So he was like, and I was like, what are you whispering at me? Like,
the fundamental factor in conceiving a baby went over my head.
Yeah, and then he was like, I know this is very embarrassing, but can I ask you when your last period was? I was like, it's not embarrassing. Like, this is not embarrassing.
You're making it awkward.
You're making it now really awkward.
Yeah. Meaning it was embarrassing for him. He didn't really care about how you was feeling, did he?
No, So that was kind of like a journey in itself of going, and like a lot of people I speak to say they've been to the doctors, they've told them just to keep trying, take some vitamins, and I'm like, you need to go back and push and just say, look, I want to be referred. And it's not always that you want to be referred because you want to have IVF. I wanted to be referred to see someone that knew what they were talking about, so they could look inside my uterus and say, well, this is wrong, or actually everything's fine. And you kind of want that bit of reassurance to say, yeah, actually, there's nothing wrong. You're fine. We'll help you. We'll look into it while you're not having a period. And it wasn't.
I didn't even want IVF.
No.
I was so
yeah.
Genuinely, who would want to go through this?
I swear to you, when they told me about it, I didn't even think it'd be my baby. And that is no disrespect to anybody that has sperm donors or egg donors. This is me pre-infertility. And this is what funds and funnels my passion for breaking the stigma around infertility because of people like me. That's what I was like. I remember going, no. They said, we're going to refer you to the hospital and hopefully we'll be able to get you some IVF, but I'm not even sure that's going to work. But that's because Ian took up the sperm and they thought that all his sperm was dead. Literally, it was that bad. He, not on purpose. He ran to the hospital to drop a sperm sample off. Everyone's already heard this a million times.
Oh God!
But they called us in, and that was initially why they referred us so quickly. But I just remember going, I'm not being that person. I'm not having IVF. I'm not that person. I work, like my body works. It's just something's not working right now. Something's not happening. We're not doing something right. Maybe we're doing the wrong position. I don't know. But that's how I felt at the time. I look back now and I'm mortified that I said that. But I swear to you, I had not a clue about IVF. So I was never there to be pushing for IVF. I just wanted someone to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
And I think as well, like a lot of people say, why don't you just have IVF? Just have IVF? Like, are you joking? Like, just go to the doctors and have this. And I think that is why I've decided to kind of like talk about it and show people what goes on every day, because people don't realise. And I've had so many messages so far being like, oh my God, I thought you literally just went to the doctors and they made you pregnant. Like,
For me, some of it is I found IVF and starting IVF and doing that process more stressful and traumatic than every month not getting pregnant on my own by having sex with my husband. Like, that was disappointing enough in itself. But then getting to IVF, going through the process and still not getting a baby was way more traumatic. Why would I want to put myself through that?
Yeah, and I think as well, like, there's so many people that say, well, you're going to come out the end of it with the baby. It doesn't all happen like that. And obviously you try and be really positive, but it's so hard to stay positive when you kind of feel like it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say, like, obviously, I don't know if you know, Tara, like Nick is still trying for baby number one. He's had a hell of a journey so far. There's always that element when I like sort of like moan about stuff, and I always think, oh God, and I know I'm so lucky to have Layla already. And then there's this a part of you that thinks, but that want for a second baby, it's a whole different want.
Yeah.
With a whole bunch of different emotions attached to it, isn't it? Like, so that leads me to what I wanted to ask you next. So obviously Kiara, does she know what's going on now? I don't think she did last time we spoke.
Not really. She has spent the last 5 years saying, when I can have a brother and sister, when can I have a brother and sister? And she writes letters to like God and like all these things, and like Father Christmas, and it's always been like a huge thing. She's always said, please, please. And like now it's like, if you see a white feather, or, you know, when you like say, oh, make a wish, she always says, I bet you can guess what I wish for.
Oh, Tara.
She always says, if I tell you, I can't tell you because it won't come true. And like, literally down, and you're like, oh, my heart literally breaks. Like, it's not just me and my husband, it's her, and it's also my husband's family. Like, she was from a previous relationship, so my husband doesn't have any biological children, even though he would say that she is his, and it's like she is.
He hasn't been through that journey yet, has he?
And he hasn't been through that journey. So he came into her life when she was about 18 months old. So he kind of missed that baby stage, and
and watching his partner grow his baby. He hasn't had that.
Yeah, so it's so hard. And I think because I have a child, a lot of people will think, oh, you can't feel like that. It's like, that's not fair. And I've had that before, like through Instagram. But for me, the pain is still there. It doesn't very much. I already have a child, and I feel like sometimes I'm very selfish. And I know that when I had the IUI, I felt so guilty at the thought that I might become pregnant. And I felt guilty for other people who were going through this and maybe weren't going to get a baby. And I still now feel like, if I was talking to somebody last night saying, if we fall pregnant, I feel like I will feel so guilty and like hurt for other people. But I don't feel like that.
No.
You must try and not to, babe. Like, it's not my job to tell you how to feel, but for what I believe in like what you think about, you bring about, you kind of resent, you're already looking for a validation as to why it's not going to work.
Yeah. And that's what I said to
you're going to give more hope. You having that baby is going to give hope to millions of people, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. And I find that people now, and when I see that they've fallen pregnant after IVF or IUI or a long time trying, I'm so happy for them. And it's not, I don't feel hurt. I feel hurt for me, but I don't feel sad. And I think it is different. Somebody who says, oh, we fell pregnant, we weren't even trying, it was just like a one-off and it happened, and you're like, God's sake.
Isn't it funny?
Kind of like is a different feeling to somebody who's been through this.
Yeah, I'm like that. You know, it must be a thing, and you know, it's not something I'm proud of. It's like a deep trauma programmed within us. I'm sure it is, from dealing with the months and months of not being able to fall pregnant. But if I see someone just fall pregnant and they haven't had any fertility treatment, I'm a bit like, wow, you don't warrant that. And that's not right. To anyone that's watching this and hasn't, because we're trying to break the taboo. We're just letting you know the batshit crazy stuff that we think inside our minds. So just like humor us a little bit sometimes, because we can't help it. We didn't cheat. We didn't sign up for this.
I would never say anything to anybody, and I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
But I'm hurt for me, and I'm hurt for them. It doesn't mean that I don't care anymore about your baby and your pregnancy, but sometimes I just need to step back and be like, do you know what, for me, I need to step away and be like,
need a little minute.
Yeah, I completely agree with that 100%. I actually don't feel like, well, you got pregnant naturally and easily, or you got pregnant somewhere else. I just always feel sad for myself.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that things are happening for other people in their lives and it's happy. But yeah, I just feel sad that it's still not me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sort of juggle that. But I think, obviously, I follow a lot of people on Instagram who've had really long infertility journeys, because mine's getting so long, you sort of try and find other people to have that ray of hope, like they was having IVF for 10 years and now they've got a baby to keep you going. And when you see that they're getting pregnant, I'm just like, oh, it will eventually happen for me. For you, like, it is happening, but it is really difficult.
So Tara, how are you finding the IVF in comparison to the IUI so far?
I feel like it's completely different, but kind of the same. I feel like obviously the stims are much stronger, and when I did the IUI, I just took letrozole, I think for like 7 days. That was it. And I had 3 follicles, 2 were like way too small, and 1 was a good size. So I feel like that was probably quite normal. Like my body didn't feel any different. I didn't really have any like hormone changes. I was like up and down emotionally because I think it was just like a roller coaster. I didn't really know what was going on. I was worried, excited, full of hope, and then kind of like a lot of disappointment at the end. But this time round, I feel like I'm literally going up, and then all of a sudden I come all the way down and go back up. I used to hate needles as well, so I'm someone who hated needles, having to inject yourself twice a day, every day, is interesting. It's emotional, and you can feel fine, and then when you know you've got to take that injection, you either feel like, yes, this is it, come on, or I feel like I can't do this again. I don't want to do it anymore. I've had enough. I can't. And it feels like so stupid because it's been like 8 days, but every time I'm like, it's one emotion or the other. Now I'm so bruised, it hurts, it stings, I'm in pain, I'm bloated so much, and it's just uncomfortable, and I just want to get to the end now. And I think because I know that we have to freeze all, even though I know it's a positive thing in the long run and better for me, it's like, well, so this is kind of for nothing, even though
it's definitely a freeze all, or is it? I mean, like just likely.
Yeah, so they've basically said that it will be a freeze all. Obviously, if I think at 25 eggs is the cutoff, is it? She said, I think they said that yesterday, that they collect over 25, then I'd be at higher risk of OHSS. But because my AMH is so high, I told you before, it's like 59, 60. They just didn't know how my body was going to react. And they're so worried that because of the high AMH, then I could...
How many more stims have you got to do? How many more days of stims?
So I have got my scan tomorrow, and from yesterday, she said, hopefully, as long as they're growing well, up until Sunday, and then trigger me for egg collection on Monday. But she said,
Wow.
and yeah, when I had the IUI, they said that I ovulated really early. So I ovulated day 10, I think it was, maybe earlier, I can't remember. But yeah, so I'm day 8 at the moment.
So they didn't down-reg you with this at all, did they? That's what I was confused about when we were speaking about it, because I had to be down-regged.
No.
I've never done that.
Why do they fill me with all these drugs then that make me feel really crap?
So what did you have to have after your scan?
I had to have buserelin for like ages, a few weeks. Long protocol. Yeah, it's probably still a long protocol because sometimes I have longer cycles. So if you ovulate early, then that's probably why.
So I'm on a short cycle rather than...
Yeah, so that's why. It's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that nicer?
It's not for much longer. I think, especially afterwards, I feel like I'd be like, why? Why am I still doing this?
That's what I felt like after that last round of IVF. And honestly, I've got no interest in having another round. And I'm sat here today, like, pretending this isn't even on YouTube, and I'm like 8 days late. and I refuse to do a pregnancy test because I've not had any IVF. I'm not playing that game. Does anyone else play the pregnancy test game? Your period doesn't come to do a pregnancy test and your period shows up like that.
Yeah, literally
the next day. Honestly.
Not doing it. Not playing.
It is like my friend, the biggest head fuck, the whole my period's not here yet.
And do you know what? Ian was really funny with me. He was probably going to really thank me for saying this on YouTube. It was really funny with me the other way because he was like, "Why won't you take a pregnancy test? I don't get it." I was like, "I'm not playing the game." He was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, I mean, you go through this with me and you don't even get it. You can't.
Yeah.
It's not you. I'm not doing it. I don't want to. I don't want to go and buy a pregnancy test, £20. You shouldn't even have to bloody pay for them anyway. And then do a pregnancy test and be like, oh, negative, knew it was. And here comes the period. Well, the period will come eventually, won't it? So there we are.
And then when it doesn't come, and then you're like, okay, maybe it was a false negative. And then it's like it spirals and it impacts your mental health, and then you start to feel crap, and it takes you ages to pull yourself back out of that. And I can't be dealing with that. I've got a little girl that is with me and doesn't need to see me feeling like that. And you just don't understand it unless you've been through it, do you, girls? Like, it just is what it is. But even when your period's late, it's such a, even when you know you're not pregnant, like you could have not even had sex that whole month and you're still thinking
maybe we did,
because it's like
maybe some sperm was left in there.
It's late. Like it's just such a weird feeling. I'm like, I said to my friend that she was like, my period's late and we hadn't had sex, so I'm not pregnant, but I feel like I'm pregnant. I'm like, because this is what your body does to you. It makes you feel like you're pregnant when you're not, because it's like, oh well, let's just mess with our head a little bit more today.
That's the bit that's crazy. You can't trust what your body's telling you ever, can you? Because you're like, it makes you feel a bit just thick. Like, surely I should know by now. I've been trying for so long. I should know the difference between your period is coming and you're pregnant, surely. But I don't. I still want to believe so much that I just let myself believe sometimes.
And I think
your mind and body connection, that's what it is. So it's so easy to feel that, and then your mind turns it into something else, but then your mind will make you feel something that potentially is not even happening. You just overanalyze everything, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had this, Nicola, but so many people have said to me, well, you know, after IVF, people just fall naturally. So you get it in your head and you're like, it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen.
I have an IVF child. I can categorically tell you that is not the truth. She's 4 in December. There is none of that. I have done infertility for like 7 years. It is bullshit. Sorry, it just is.
Yeah, I had so many ridiculous things, like move house, new house, you'll have a baby. Get a dog, you'll have a baby. Go on holiday, you'll have a baby. None of these things have worked.
Yeah, I've tried them all.
IVF didn't work, but going on holiday, yeah, that's what me and my husband are missing. Do you know, it's like, but it's just a bit of ignorance, isn't it?
We've had to pay for IVF.
Yeah, the holiday
thing. We did one of them. We know where you go away and you just relax. Come back 10 days late. 10 days. I cannot tell you how much money I spent on pregnancy tests, which has fueled my anti-pregnancy test thing right now. I'm like, no, it's embedded in me from years ago. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Oh.
Anyway, that's my rant over. It just infuriates me on so many different levels. One of the ladies had just commented saying she just knew the chances weren't great, so she tried not to pin her hopes on getting pregnant through IVF. Oh, but do you know what? Let's have it right. Millions of babies are born through IVF, and I've got an IVF baby. I had a fresh cycle and a frozen cycle, and I must admit, I hedged my bets with a frozen anyway, Tara. So when you said about a freeze all, I was like, yeah, I'm a massive advocate for that, because they also say that those embryos, when they're frozen, once they've like survived the thawing process, they're even stronger and they're more resilient. So, and I think that there's an element of truth to that.
That's a lot.
Have a baby for IVF. I wouldn't have a baby for IVF.
Lots of people
Unfortunately, I have had one of each, and it still is not happened. So I don't necessarily have a preference. Just get
it here.
Have you had 2 cycles?
Well, I've had quite a few cancelled ones. So I've had one full round of IVF. I had a fresh transfer. Then I tried frozen twice and they got cancelled because my lining was shit. Then I was on another frozen and COVID happened. So that was cancelled. And then I did another frozen and my lining wasn't perfect, but they was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, put it back in, like I've had enough. It was like nearly 12 months after my fresh by the time I actually had a frozen back in. And that was last summer. So nearly it's coming up to another year since my last one. And that didn't work either. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. But I just think it's like you say, I understand what that person's saying with, maybe try not to pin your hopes too much on it. But then there's always that part of you of, why are you doing it then? If I don't have some belief that this is going to get me a baby, why the hell would I put myself through it?
Yeah.
You need that bit of hope.
I think.
Even though that bit of hope is the bit that just like you say, it gives you the ups, but then you have really low lows with the disappointment. But without that, how else would you get through it?
And also, I think the highs make up for the lows. When you're feeling so good and you feel, oh my God, I'm going to cry. When you feel like there's so much hope there, it kind of outweighs those bad times because you just think that hope is what I have to hold on to. You have to hold on to that high because that is what's going to get you there. Yeah. And like yesterday was just an awful day.
I just want to hug you. I feel
I'm like,
so much.
If you hold on to that hope, that is what's going to get you there. It's not going to be when you're down, feeling crap. Yeah.
I agree with you so much. It is just,
and I keep thinking that end result is going to be worth every single bit of pain, every single like awful moment, every single stinging injection. And I speak to a lady on here on Instagram, and I actually started following her way before we even had gone down like treatment route. And I remember saying to somebody, and I've written about this on one of my posts before, being like, how do these people share this? Like, this is so personal. How on earth do they share this? And I now still follow her, and she's just done round 7 and it's failed again. And my heart breaks for her, but I also take so much strength and courage. Like, we move to round 8, let's go. And she will not give up because she knows that's what she wants. And I think that is the way you have to be. You can't just be like, do you know what? It doesn't work. I'm giving up. And it's not helpful at all sometimes when people say it, but there's so many other routes as well. Like, I get so many messages, well, why don't you just adopt? Like, again, it's not just an easy process, but I know that if however many cycles down, when if it doesn't work and I think, do you know what, I can't do this anymore, I know that I would probably go down another route and try and, but I feel like you have to do your time.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
First. You can't just be like, you know what, I'm just going to go and do something else, because you'll regret not giving it another go.
Yeah. I think everyone's sort of got their threshold of, I feel like I've done enough now.
Yeah.
And for everybody, it's going to be different, isn't it? Even though I've been through sort of hell a bit with it, I'm not ready to say no yet. But I do think at some point in the future, I probably will be like, I'm not doing more IVF if it doesn't work. But what that will be, I don't know. But you feel like you need to know you've done everything you could have done.
Yeah. And you're enjoying taking a break right now as well, aren't you, Nick? So you're like recharging. So you know that when you're ready to go again, you'll feel like, actually, I've had a bit of time off. I feel fresh. I've reset, and I'm ready to give it another crack. And obviously we've got everything to do, but
and that's the thing, like you said, Jade, though, you right now you're not ready to go again, and that's fine. Like, I think there's so much pressure, and it's, do you know what, actually I don't want to do it right now because I don't feel like I want it right now. And
I've
then
lost my identity so much on it.
I don't want to do this because I don't want to feel like, not resentment, but like it's that kind of feeling of some months you're like, do you know what, I actually can't do anything this month. I just don't even want to think about it.
It's the mindset that you go through. It's all right when you're not doing it. It's when you're actually, for me anyway, it's when you're actually going through it. And I just feel like this last year I lost my way so much, like even through like losing my job, everything just seemed to go to shit for me a little bit. And that's not like a poor me pity party.
Yeah.
I felt really, really lost. And I feel really content knowing that I've got my embryos that are like literally chilling, quite literally chilling in the freezer. And I just want to get back to work, doing what I love and like making memories of my little girl, and just getting, like, the last 12 months away from fertility has been enough. So I just want to start feeling like a normal human again. And it's really easy to lose your identity when you're having IVF, and especially when you're blogging and vlogging about it. You just become this content creator to help other people. And for me, I become so tunnel visioned on how can my pain help someone else? How can I be proactive and like, oh, there's like a wasp in front of me or something. How can like this awful like burden, like how can I help other people through it? And then all of a sudden that just takes over, and then I just don't even know who I am anymore. So I'm just having a couple of months off and just doing what feels right for me. And I think that's really important for anyone watching at home. You need to trust your instincts and do what feels good for you, because you're not a robot, you're not a battery hen, and sometimes you just need to stop.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so what's going to be going on? You're not going to be documenting like your transfer days and stuff, though, are you?
No. So we decided that I would document kind of the freeze-all and what goes on and how they collect the eggs and everything. But for the transfer, I decided that I wanted it to be personal. I wanted it to feel like, you know, that feeling when you see someone announce they're pregnant and you're like, oh my God. I was like, we're never going to get that because everybody knows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking last night, so like, I don't think I would have shared this journey if it wasn't for COVID and not being at work. If I was in the office every day, no way on this earth would I be sharing this, because I wouldn't want to go into work every day and see people and be like, yep.
I think grounded with pregnant women. I was grounded with the bumps.
Yeah. And it's like, I probably wouldn't have done it. So I think, when it's transfer, I want that excitement. I don't want to be able to tell our
mum. Feel you. You don't want to go in and answer questions all day, every day, do you? And everyone pity you and act around you.
And also, if it doesn't work, like with IUI, we didn't say anything until after.
Yeah.
And actually, like we kind of said we would never tell anyone. It would never be something that I spoke about. And when it was the feeling afterwards was just so horrific. That pain of just feeling lost. And in the end, I decided that, well, with my husband, that by speaking about it, if I could help somebody else, because he said, I didn't really think it wouldn't work. He was like, I've never seen anyone post that it didn't work. And that was one of the huge turning points, I think, of me sharing what's going on, is that you don't see, or you see that somebody's had IVF and you're like, oh my God, they've got a baby, but you don't see actually what they went through and how many times they actually tried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many, and that for me was a huge kind of turning point. And I thought, you know what, I can't sit on my social media and be like, oh, I've got the best life, I've done this, oh, I've had a baby, because it's not true, it's not real. And for me, it was like, do you know what, by speaking out, if I help one person, then I'll be happy, but it actually helps me more than anybody else. I think for me to not sit there and let it all bubble up inside, and but for the transfer, we've decided that we'll keep it a secret, so that hopefully we can have that kind of surprise, we're pregnant, and I want to be able to tell my mum, my dad, my in-laws that were having a baby, and them not be like, oh, we already know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, not that I have an issue with anybody else sharing it. Like, I think it's amazing and I love following it. But for me, and for us, and for like Kiara as well, I want.
Yeah, you got to do what feels right for you and your family.
That kind of like special. Yeah, and we said that we would document it all and then share it afterwards, whatever happens, like whether it's good or bad, and it could be weeks after, it could be months after, even a year. But I want to be able to, if I can help somebody by sharing it, then it kind of makes it feel worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, Tara, it's been so lovely having you. I don't even feel like I need to ask what would be your bit of advice, because I feel like there's been so much throughout the whole of the call. Nick, is there anything else that you wanted to ask Tara before we let her go?
No, it's just that actually a lot of the things that you're saying, even that I've only just very recently started sharing my infertility stuff on Instagram and things, but I think that thing around it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, you're in control of the bits you want to share. And I think personally, I've not shared about like my failed transfers and stuff like that until ages after, because I need to process that myself with my husband.
Yeah,
I think that's maybe what I'm hearing you say to other people, is actually you can share as much or as little as you want in helping someone else, but you're the one that's living it.
Yeah. And that's, definitely. I think if you don't want to share it, don't feel like there's pressure to tell people. So many people message as well to say, oh, thank you so much for sharing this. I'm going through this and I haven't told anyone because I don't feel ready. And I always say to people, you have to be fully ready to share it, because once it's out there, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
And you don't have to share it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. It's completely personal. And I've got some friends who've been through IVF and they kept it completely secret. They didn't tell anyone. And they're like, I don't know how you're sharing it. And I'm like, I really don't know how I am either. But I'm also one of these people that's very emotional. And by not sharing it, I was making my mental health worse, because
like bottling it up.
Someone says to you, when are you having a baby? Come on, when are you going to have a baby? I would just laugh it off, but inside I would die. And it was the most horrific pain, and I'd go home and then I'd just cry myself to sleep. So for me, by having it out there, I feel like I don't get those questions that hurt me anymore.
Yeah, totally.
So it's probably quite a selfish reason, but it's
not at all.
I don't think it's selfish at all.
It's your journey. It's yours.
I understand everything that you're saying, because I think that's the reason why I eventually was just like, I'm holding this thing secret, and actually it's causing me more harm than good. I might as well get it out there, and then people will probably stop asking me all the stupid questions they ask me now.
Yeah.
And it has actually worked. So
But you just got to stay give hope
for you. I can't wait to hear about it, and I'm always here anyway. If you just
thank you.
Or like anyone, and excuse me,
it's so lovely meeting you today. Really lovely. So fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go, darling, and I will add your Instagram into the description so anyone that watched can go and find you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye. Right, it managed to let me remove her. I wasn't sure if it's going to let me then. Like, my laptop sort of like made a funny look on the screen. That was so lovely talking to her, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Just lots of things that Tara had to say about some of her experience and things are very similar to how I've felt along my journey. So it's always nice to have that sort of connection with someone, isn't it, around how you felt. So it's been lovely.
Yeah, I just think she's so open and honest, and just is just really honest with like anything that she says about why she's documenting her journey, how she feels, and the people that she's spoken to. And I just think that's really important. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're having some different speakers on over the next couple of weeks, but incorporating some new panels and stuff like that, which is really, really exciting. So for anyone who doesn't know, we are back next week at 11 a.m. GMT, and we will be talking all things endometriosis. So we've got some special guests coming on to talk to us all about their journey with endo, what they find has helped, and sort of their battle with infertility and endometriosis as a whole, not just from an infertility perspective. So I think that's going to be really exciting. If anyone wants to get involved, please do pop me a message directly, because we'd absolutely love to hear from you and get you involved in the show too. But I'm going to let you all go, because it's been a lovely morning, wrapped up bang on 45 minutes. I think that's incredible timing for us, to say the least. And I look forward to catching up with you all next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Anything you wanted to say? No, we're all done. Perfect. Bye.